Hi, everyone. This is Professor Lushin. And what I'd like to do this week, I'm not even going to have my camera open for myself. I want you to be able to see the screen. And this is kind of what we're going to be doing for the next 5 weeks. And then I'm going to sprinkle in some guest speaker videos as well. But what I want to do is call your attention to the Canvas page. I did create a tab for the big project, the big data analysis project, work comp data set, also called a loss run. So I've got the assignment right here. I'm going to come back to this, just so you know. We're going to actually start looking at the data in this video, and then I'm going to be cutting videos a little bit shorter and focusing on particular aspects, basically focusing on a tab, which is meant to answer a question, okay? I also want to call attention to this technical assistance or reference document. I created this a few years ago to help out. It should help clarify some things if I forget to talk about certain details along the analysis. I have tweaked it slightly, and I always learn something new every time I analyze, so reference this, but it's not gospel, okay? And then I've got a video in which I walk through it. And then I've got my original set of videos that I created several years ago, right before the pandemic, in fact, that kind of shows you the elements. And in these videos, I kind of explain things a little bit better, but I'm going to try to explain everything the best I can as I analyze it. As far as due dates, every week for the next 5 weeks, you're going to have to submit your progress. And I don't believe I'm asking for. I'm not asking for you to upload the Excel document you're working on. Not at all. That makes it really difficult. What you're going to do is you're going to answer several questions relevant to that week's progress, I guess. The final document, the final Excel, and I can't go past this, is December 4th. Seems like a long ways away. It's going to come quick. The day after that, I want everybody to be uploading their PowerPoint presentations because you're all going to do a presentation based on your results. And then the papers due the following week. And I can't push that back either. That is the beginning of finals week. So set your calendars ahead if you're a procrastinator like me. And I've got some other videos here to help you with creating professional tables and figures in Excel, because that is very important. And then some other information that should help you out. So this is the project semester tab. Each week I will be putting in the what's due. So for this week, our videos are here. I'm actually recording it right now, but I have some placeholders and I have last year's videos if you need something more to reference. These are some additional documents and links to help you better understand. So seems like every data set houses this LAE column, and now you can click on it and see what it means. In the past, I've had students go, well, you never told us what it was. Well, it's pretty easy to Google or to look up on the WCRB or the NCCI. So here you can look up the policy class code because that is usually one of the variables provided in the report. I'm sorry, the work comp data set, the loss run report. That's what I meant. So you can look up and see what sort of job titles you're working with based on the policy class code and the rate applied to that company's policy, annual policy. I've got the state of Wisconsin cause of injury table. You can refer to this later when we talk about that. That'll be like in week 3. We've got the National Compensation Something Institute, and they've got information or an article about the EMR and the predictive power. I recommend you read that. And then the ABCs of the experience modification rating. It's really important that you understand more about the EMR than what Jim or I covered in our lectures last week. Even though in analyzing the data set, we really can't, it's difficult to draw correlation between it and our results, but it's all intertwined. Each week you'll have a binder assignment just like we've had. It's not going to be as much stuff. And again, I'm going to sprinkle guest lectures here or there. The quizzes, this week's quiz is based on last week's lectures because obviously last week was the midterm. I didn't want to double burden you. And I still have to get your papers graded and get those results back to you, which means I owe you a review video. Then I'll cover quiz 6, I'll cover quiz 7, I'll cover the, quiz 6, the midterm, and then the executive summary. I'll cover all that stuff. And so here's your progress report. So look for this under every weekly tab. This week you're doing the descriptives and the distribution analysis, and I'll be doing that for you. So what I recommend is let's review what's required, and then a few things right off the top of my head is I would prefer that you use a PC with 2 screens. It'll give you, it'll make things easier because on one screen you can have this video or my video or other information. On the other screen you can have your Excel document and be working on it. It's very difficult if you're just going to work on a laptop or on one screen. So a PC. And another thing I'm going to say is I'd rather you not use a Mac. Mac's version of Microsoft Excel is a little bit different than the PC version. And I don't use a Mac. So if something isn't working out the way I show you, maybe because you have the Mac version, in which case you're going to have to become familiar with looking up what is the translation. I found that using a Mac is not very conducive to the type of analysis I want to do. All right, let's look at this stuff now. All right, and basically that's all we're going to do is we're going to kind of look at it. I'm going to go over it now. Usually I show a PowerPoint, but today I think it'd be better use of your time if we just open things up. So here on the screen, I've got the assignment sheet. For undergrads, this whole assignment, all of it, the weekly Excel work, the final Excel document, your presentation, and the executive summary and report you submit at the end. Again, that was December 11th, I think. That's 30% of your overall grade. For the Excel progress, you lose points every day it's late, up to a certain point, and then you don't get any points. So keep up, everybody. This is my forewarning. This assignment takes many hours to work on, especially if you're not familiar with Excel. It's going to take a while for you to really learn to use it effectively. You got to just put in the hours. Everybody I know, I've been teaching this for like over 10 years, and it just takes some people a little bit longer to pick it up. For the others, I'm going to try to post weeks in advance, so if you want to get ahead and get it done, you can do that. And then upon your request, I can also host weekly tutorial sessions if anybody needs help. So again, undergrads, 30% of your grade. Grads, it's 40% of your grade. I think after I complete, looking at the midterm scores, because that's not due yet, and I grade your and I grade your executive summaries, I think what I'll do is in that review video, I'll kind of just show where everybody stands, because then I can adjust for the grads because they have different percentages of things. All right, the project itself. You are a new loss control specialist. You're asked to do a comprehensive analysis on a work comp claim data set. Your objectives are to evaluate the data quality, assess the performance of the safety program, and make prioritized recommendations for where and what the company should focus on, along with the forecasted losses. So at minimum, you're going to be submitting weekly progress updates. Again, I'm going to be taking you through this step by step by step. I'm going to attempt to explain what I'm doing and how to do it and what it means, just to kind of help you out. But you have to go through the motions, and near the end, you're going to have to make some of your own decisions. You're going to perform a 5-minute max presentation to me. So we'll set up a series of meetings, and you'll come on, you'll bring up your PowerPoint, you'll talk through, and you're attempting to get me as the owner of the company, I guess we could say that, or top management of the company, to invest in the safety program in the areas you found to be most critical. The biggest opportunity to save the company money. And then the report, you're going to write the technical report this time. In the second assignment, the one that I'm going to be grading and giving you back, I gave you the technical report based on the data analysis I had done. For this project, because it's worth so much, you're doing the analysis, you're writing the technical report, and you're writing an executive summary. So you're doing all three of those things. Just get that right out there. Follow my videos. I use a new loss run report every semester. So looking back at my old videos, all it's meant to do is teach you the technique or the steps I take. You will be graded on the quality and the presentation of weekly submissions. Don't forget that. Don't just throw it. If you're going to put in the time to do all the work, you really need to be, sorry, I'll shut off my phone. You really need to be putting in the time to make it look good. And I'm going to try to show you to do that each week. But if that starts falling behind, it's going to be difficult to keep up. That's the thing with this. You got to keep up. You got to set time aside. Yeah. The due dates are on Canvas. This is what is expected for the paper. I hope a lot of you have learned that you follow this. If you just kind of make it up on your own, you lose points. And in the presentation, I give you some recommendations too. And then after that, I've got the grading rubrics that I use, if that's something you use to help guide you. Okay? So that's the assignment sheet. Next thing I want to do is show you the assistance document, because we'll be using it this week. So I've got a video for this. I don't know why it opened up to annual trending. That's next week. So here's what I did here is I provided, also when you open Excel, you may have to hit enable content in order to work on things. You don't really have to do it with this, but with the actual data set you do. Let me blow this up a little bit. I always forget to do that. Sorry, zoom in. So there are macros that you should become familiar with because I use them without thinking when I'm playing with Excel. Control X means cut. Control C means copy. Control V means paste. Control Y means repeat last move. Control Z means back up one move. I use these a lot. So it'd be better if you could get used to these versus a right click and then, a window comes up and then you find it. I use a lot of functions. I use if and sum. I use sum if. Is that there? Yep. Count if, percentage. I do a lot of things to do analysis, and you'll have to pick those up pretty quick. INT just means integer. But if you ever need help, you can go up to help on Excel, and you can ask it questions. And there's also a lot of websites that you can refer to as well. There are tricks I'm going to teach you. There's a copy paste, which is just a click and drag. So do you see when the cursor, I'm hoping you can see it, we're at 130. I'll try to stick it to 140. So I'm clicked on this cell here. A cell is designated by a column and a row. So this is B24. That's this cell. If I put the cursor on the bottom right-hand corner, you see how it changes? And I hold down the left button on the mouse and I drag it, it's a copy-paste. You see that? That's going to become very important for us. I'm going to do a Control Z and it goes back because that's back one, remember? Cool, huh? I'll teach you how to freeze things with dollar signs. I'll teach you, well, we really don't use the portal anymore. Instead of using portal, I use a special copy paste. So if I wanted to, I could, I'm trying to show you things, but it's not responding. Okay, so I clicked up here on the font arrow to open it up. I can do a strike through. So I'm striking through pivot. This is just for me. And it is a special paste. So if I copy something, and I go to some other page, I go on here and you see paste special. So there's other options here. So a link with a picture is what I'll probably use. All right, Control Z. So then we'll be doing some graphing as well. I don't know why that opened. We're doing some graphing, some trend lines, and I'll show you that too. This week, what we're going to do. So each of these tabs gives like an explanation. So I would take a look at this. Though I'll change it from time to time. I'll be creating this table under the new data set after I've made some modifications to it. I'll also count and get the percentages of the open close. What this does, I call this descriptive statistics. It provides us with sort of in many ways, the context and scope of the data set. And it gives us some things we can talk about. I think, I don't know if you've noticed, but in the first two writing assignments, in those first few lines of whatever you write, you want to define, the number of claims, the total amounts, things like that. And this will be, we'll have the medical. I'll have to see what the data set is. I haven't looked at it enough to answer this, but I will adjust these based on what's provided. After that, we're going to do a distribution. So we're going to create this. And to make it easy, I have some instructions here, and I created here, let me zoom this in a little bit. I created a table to do the calculations for you. So as long as you copy and paste this in the correct place, I've entered in these equations which help us calculate the percent total. And then we can create this really cool distribution and talk about it. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing this week. Let's go ahead and look at the data now. That's the help document. Here's the data set opened. So I've got an info and a data tab. I'm going to enable editing. That's the other thing too. If you're finding that you're unable to save something or something's not working right, go under File and then go under Info. And you have to make sure, you have to see, so it's a protected workbook or you can inspect it. There's all kinds of things that can make it so that you can't save or alter the data. So on mine, all I have to do is hit enable and it'll work. So this first tab here is a little information about the company that the loss run report was run on. Let's see. So it was run early September. Their annual premium is about 2.9 million. Their current mod is 1.22. Their SIC code is 8051, but the thing is we stopped using SIC code in 2003. Its description is a skilled nursing care facility under SIC, but under the NAICS code, that's what we'll use. It's 623110. So you could actually get some information on the Bureau of Labor, from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, from the WCRB, from the DWD, from the NCCI. These are all websites where you could get additional information about this industry. If the account premium is 2.9 million and the mod is 1.22, the mod is based on not 2020, not 2022 numbers and not 2021 numbers, but the 3 years prior to that. So 18, 19, and 20. So we're going to find that the pandemic, or I should say COVID cases, are probably very prevalent in our 2020 and 2021 numbers, not so much in our 2022, though they may be tailing off in 2021. So we'll have to make special, what's the word? I was going to say compensation, but that's not special designation. I'll just say that for that particular cause. So we'll do it with and without. I had to do that last year. But realizing that just by reducing the mod, they could save considerable amount of money because they're basically paying a little over 20% above, 22% above. So what is 22% of 2.9 million? It's a lot. It is a lot. All right, so that's our info data. The data tab is our master. And what I'm going to do, I always forget I have to zoom in. I'll try to zoom into 150 as much as I can, all right? I'm going to turn that tab into the master. And there's a rule. We do not molest the master. And what I mean by that is don't ever alter this tab now. And you should probably save it under something. So file, save as. I mean, this is, let's see, where am I putting this? It's under my downloads. You make sure you know where you're saving it. I'm going to say loss run data analysis week one, and then put your name. So you know what you're doing. You could put in something other than week one. We could put, descriptives, descriptive stats. Make sure you put your name or initial or something, and name it. Do a save as every week, so that if something corrupts, what the document you're working on, you can go back to the week before and just make the changes. Don't save it as what it was originally called. Okay, don't do that. Each week, save it differently. You should have multiple documents. You'll thank me in the future. So we got the master. First thing we have to do, actually no, I will copy and paste and create the additional things in the next video because we're starting to get close to the length I'd want. So let's just quickly look at this. So I had already sorted this by lost date. When you get it, sometimes it's messed up. I try to remove some identifiers here to keep it as anonymous. Is that the right word? Anonymous? Ambiguous as possible. So the date of the loss is here under column A. The report leg, that's the number of days between the loss date and probably the submission date. This is the date the employee was hired. This is their birth date. This is age. Carrier notification date, so this is when the paperwork was filed. Is that the difference between the two? I think it is. Yeah, that's the difference between the two. Length of service, number of years the worker had. This may not be relevant right now, but later in the analysis, if you get done early, you may want to come back and consider these factors. Just a way to influence management, predict future losses. Location number. So there are different sites, and the sites have this designation, and I don't have a key for those. So we'll have to see if this is a valid variable or not. We've got the jurisdiction state. It may be easier. We're going to use Wisconsin comparisons just to let you know. But we could consider these different facilities as well because we're going to try and figure out where to focus our attention. Next one is claim type. We have medical, we have incident, indemnity. We'll have to figure out what those mean. We've got the policy class code. So this is what I talked about before. You can actually go to the Wisconsin Credit Rating Bureau, or WCRB, and up at the top it says policy class code. You type that in, and any one of these in, and then you can see what it is, what the people do, what the rate is as it contributes to the base policy amount. Last close date, we've got the cause, we've got the detail cause. Interesting. So what it looks like, and I've not seen this type of report before, that we have what seems to be a parent code and a child code. So this is slip, trip, and fall, so it's a broader category. This is slip, trip, and fall, same level. So we may not have to recode this. I've had to recode it every single year, every semester. But when we get to that point, it'll make things a lot easier. But I'll analyze it before we get to that step. Body part's interesting, but not something that I focus on. Because a lower arm injury could be multiple things. Could be ergonomic, could be contusion, could be laceration, lots of things. It doesn't help much. Nature of injury is the medical diagnoses. Again, many different causes can cause similar natures unless we have something to compare it to. And we do. We've got things from the Department of Workforce Development, which are stored under the Wisconsin Hygiene Lab. We had covered that last week. The gender, but again, we need to know the actual numbers of males and females working there for this to be applicable. Then we've got paid medical. OS medical. Okay, how did they do this? I'm going to have to look at this now. I focused on the paid. So we have a paid medical, a paid indemnity, a paid legal. Maybe that's the LAE. I think it is. I should have looked at this before I turned this on. We have a total paid. So we don't have to make that. Usually we have to create this. I wonder if they've taken my recommendations. The total incurred. I'll explain what that is. The total incurred is the difference between adding up all the total paids and either subtracting things that have been recovered or adding on things that are outstanding. So the paid and the total incurred will be different when there's an outstanding. So look at this is 47. Here's the outstanding. And what the outstanding is what they expect to pay until the claim's closed. So it is still open. The worker is still receiving lost wages, or they're still receiving occupational therapy or physical therapy, something like that. They haven't closed the claim because the person is not at 100% yet. And if they can never get to 100%, then the insurance company will pay them for a partial, permanent, or permanent partial disability. You guys remember Jim talking about, remember me talking about that? So you're going to see all different kinds of claims here, or different types of benefits awarded. If it's still open, it's still being paid. If it's closed, then it won't go up and down unless it gets reopened. We will only be focusing on the paid amounts. Okay, so I'm going to be rearranging this, and I'll show you how to do that in the next video. So we're getting a little bit long here, but what we're going to start out in the next one is we're going to copy. So what did I do? I clicked on the upper left-hand corner, which is kind of the apex. Clicked on it, and all this stuff, started. All of it got highlighted. I did a Control-C to copy. Open a new tab by clicking down on the bottom on one of these plus things. And as long as I'm in the A1 cell, I hit paste, which is Control-V, and I get an exact replica of the master. And this is the one I'm going to start manipulating in the next video. So reach out to me if you have any questions. But again, this is just the start. Each week we will continue stepping, and I'll try and give you some review as well. All right, here we go.